Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Now, I've literally just woken up and we've got a brand new update for Elden Ring. This is for 1.04. So without further ado, without any delays, let's get straight into this and see what has been changed in this huge update. Alright, so major changes included in the latest updates are additional elements added into this update, added an option to turn camera auto-rotation function on and off, added some event phases for the NPC patches. Alright, and here are the balance adjustments. These are kind of good here. So what we have is increased colossal swords and colossal weapons attack speed and lowered their recovery time. Jump attacks are not included. Increased the two-handed attack damage of colossal swords and colossal weapons. Jump attacks are not included. Increased physical block rates and guard boost of the colossal sword, colossal weapons, great swords, great hammers, great axe, great spear, and halberd weapon classes. Increase the damage of grafted blade greatsword. Increase the damage of Devourer's scepter. Decrease the scaling of status effect build-up from spells and incantations of Albinaric staff and Dragon Communion seal. Decrease the effect of Great Shield Talisman for weapons with high block rate. Shorten the length of Madness Afflicted animation. Lowered the speed of Madness build-up recovery, and slightly increased the FP and stamina growth rates at lower levels. Players will need to perform any of the following actions for changes to be reflected. This is required only once. New characters created after this update will not require this action. Level up, activate Godric's Great Rune, re-equipping and equipment, armor, and talismans which grant bonus stats to either strength, dexterity, vigor, endurance, intelligence, faith, or arcane, other enemies, and weapon balances. So for sorcery and incantations, there is a lot to go through. So for Crystal Barrage, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Gravel of Heimer, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Allowed caster to more easily withstand enemies' attacks while casting. Shatter Earth, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Allows caster to easily withstand enemies' attacks while casting. Rock Blaster, decreased recovery time. Allows caster to easily withstand enemies' attacks while casting. Thop's Barrier, increased area of effect and slightly increased the effect duration. Renala's Full Moon, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ranni's Dark Moon, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Carrion Greatsword, increased cast speed at lower dexterity. Magma Shot, decreased FP cast and increased cast speed. Roiling Magma, increased cast speed and decreased time until magma explodes. Gelmira's Fury, slightly decreased the random nature of projectiles range and increased the damage of Lava Pool. Increases the hitbox. Rykard's Rancor, decreased FP cast. I don't know if it's Rancor or Rancor. Oracle Bubbles, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Great Oracular Bubble, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Briar of Sin, decreased recovery time, increased blood loss buildup on enemies. Briars of Punishment, decreased recovery time, increased blood loss buildup on enemies. Explosive Ghost Flame, decreased FP cost and recovery time. Tibia's Summon, increased damage and cast speed. Aspects of the Crucible. Tail, decreased FP and stamina cost. Aspects of the Crucible Horns, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed. Increased the distance traveled when not charged and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. Now it says here players will need to perform any of the following actions for the changes to be reflected. This is required only once. New characters created after this update will not need to required to do this action, but what you will need to do is level up, activate Godric's Great Rune, re-equipping any equipment, armor, talismans, which grants bonus stat to either strength, dexterity, vigor, endurance, intelligence, faith, or arcane. Decreased recovery time. Honed Bolt, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Spear, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Allows caster to easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike, decreased recovery time. Lansax's Glaive, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attacks while casting. Vortisax's Lightning Spear, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to withstand enemy attacks while casting more easily. Frozen Lightning Spear, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Death Lightning, decreased FP cost, increased duration of death accumulating smoke. O Flame, increased damage. Giant's Flame Take V, decreased stamina cost. Flame of the Fell God, decreased FP cost and increased damage. Whirl O Flame, increased damage, decreased recovery time. Burn O Flame, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Black Flame, increased damage and the spell can break enemies' guards more easily. Scourging Black Flame, decreased FP cost and recovery time, increased attack and area of effect. And here are the last few for incantations and spells. Black Flame Ritual, reduced FP cost and increased damage. Hurang's Beast Claw, increased damage and decreased recovery time. Blood Flame's Talons, decreased FP cost and increased cast speed, decreased recovery time. Blood Boon, increased damage, increased cast speed and decreased effect startup time, decreased recovery time. Pest Thread, decreased stamina cost. Scarlet Aeonia, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Unendurable Frenzy, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, decreased the random nature of projectiles, range and increased madness buildup on enemies. Incapable Frenzy, increased cast time. Placidusax Ruin, decreased FP, stamina cost and recovery time. Dragon Claw, decreased FP, stamina cost and recovery time and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. Dragon Maw, decreased FP, stamina cost and recovery time and increased cast speed and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. And Grail's Roar, decreased FP, stamina cost and recovery time. Upward and downward adjustments. Adula's Moonblade, decreased the power of single cast and improved performance so that the blades and frost hit more consistently and continuously. Increased cast speed at lower dexterity. Flame Fall Upon Them, decreased the damage of single cast and improved the performance so that it hits the enemy multiple times, decreased FP cost. Howl of Shabriri, decreased the madness buildup of the enemy, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Downward adjustments. Swarm of Flies, decreased blood buildup on enemy. The Flame of Frenzy, decreased madness buildup on enemy. And Frenzied Burst, decreased madness buildup on enemies. So here are the weapon skills adjustments. These are the upwards adjustments. Lion's Claw, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Kick, increased cast speed. Horalu's Earth Shaker, increased cast speed, increased cast speed on follow-up inputs, decreased the recovery time. Troll's Roar, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed on follow-up inputs, increased the distance traveled. Giant Hunt, decreased recovery time. Storm Assault, decreased recovery time. Carrion Greatsword, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, increased the damage when charged and made it easier to cause enemy to flinch. Carrion Grandeur, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, increased the damage when charged and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Gravitas, increased cast speed. Flaming Strike, increased the travel distance of stepping, cleave in a strong attack. Black Flame Tornado, added hitbox to weapons when spinning and added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Lightning Slash, increased cast speed, added a hitbox to the stomp animation. Sacred Blade, increased cast speed. Sacred Ring of Light, increased cast speed. Poisonous Mist, increased cast speed. Poison Moth Flight, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ice Spear, added a hitbox to the weapon spinning animation. Chilling Mist increased cast speed. Assassin's Gambit increased cast speed. Shield Bash increased cast speed. Shield Crash decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed. Blade of Gold decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Blade of Death increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Golden Tempering decreased FP cost and increased cast speed, increased effect duration. Last Rites increased cast speed. Mist of Slumber increased cast speed. Equade's Darston Blade increased travel distance, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Unblockable Blade increased cast speed with the weapon coded sword. Alabaster's Lord's Pull increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Estabash's Order decreased recovery time and increased cast speed on follow-up inputs, increased damage, made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Moonlight Great Sword decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, increased the frost build-up effect during the skill duration. Wave of Gold decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Wolf's Assault increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. The Queen's Black Flame increased cast speed, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Dynast's Finesse decreased stamina cost. Flowing Form decreased stamina cost. Death Flare increased cast speed. Onyx's Lord's Repulsion increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Magma Guillotine decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed, decreased recovery time on follow inputs. Cursed Blood Slice increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ice Lightning Sword increased cast speed, added a hitbox to the stomp animation. Rose's Summons decreased recovery time. I Command Thee Kneel increased cast speed, including the follow-up input, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Gold Breaker decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Familian Rancor added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Nebula increased cast speed and decreased recovery time with the weapon Bastard Stars. Wriggle Beastclaw increased cast speed. Devourer of Worlds increased cast speed. Wriggle Roar decreased recovery time. Spear Call Ritual decreased recovery time. Ancient Lightning Spear decreased FP cost and increased cast speed, allows player to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Great Serpent's Hunt decreased recovery time and increased damage, allows player to more easily withstand attacks from enemies. Frenzied Flame Thrust decreased FP cost, decreased recovery time, decreased madness build-up on self. Blood Boon Ritual increased cast speed. Miquella's Ring of Light increased cast speed. Sea of Magma increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, added the window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Flame Dance decreased stamina cost, decreased recovery time, added the window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Storm Kick decreased stamina cost, and Bear Witness increased cast speed. And here are the upwards and downwards adjustments. Thundercloud Form decreased damage when not charged, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Alright, and here are the bug fixes. Again, there's many of them, so let's get started with these now. So, fix the bug where the damage of Insincapable Frenzy was affected by right hand with weapon. Fix the bug where the damage of the weapon art's Carrion Retaliation was increased by weapon and status and the effect was not displayed correctly during online multiplayer. Fix the bug where the animation when inflicted with blood loss and frostbite was bigger than the originally planned. Fix the bug during character appearance change menu in which some parameter changes were sometimes not reflected. Fix the bug that prevented a dialogue from appearing when executing leave on some items. Fix the bug that allowed unauthorized items to be passed to other players. Fix the bug in multiplayer that prevented Grace to be registered on the map if it was found just before the player is summoned. Fix the bug that sometimes prevented the mechanic of Renala, Queen of the Full Moon fight from working properly during their cooperative multiplayer, fixed the bug that sometimes prevented the player from entering the boss area after defeating Morgoth, the Omen King, fixed the bug that prevented Edgar, the Revenger of Festering Fingerprints Vike from invading after defeating all the bosses in Lernia of the Lake. The item Tonic of Forgetfulness can now be obtained at the Volcano Manor if the player wasn't able to obtain it due to quest progression. Fixed the bug that caused the reduction of runes due to NPC Gostok when player died in the Stormvale Castle to occur at the unintended timing. Added a protective barrier to Millicent after helping her at Miquella's Halic Tree so she cannot be unintentionally killed. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the player from obtaining a reward after defeating the Dung Eater. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the player from progresses Delios' questline. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the player from duplicating remembrances at the Walking Mausoleum. Fixed a bug that prevented the player from inputting consecutive attacks when dual-wielding thrusting swords. Fixed a bug that causes Scythe to lose blood loss effect if poison affinity is applied to the weapon. Fixed a bug where the damage of the Iron Greatsword was lower than expected when an affinity is applied. Fixed a bug that causes FP cost consumption to increase when the player casts Night Comet with charge. Fixed a bug that causes default key setting on keyboard for weapon skill left control to not be set on PC only. Fixed a bug on the Steam version where the history of players who played multiplayer was not displayed correctly under certain circumstances. Increased online multiplayer stability. Fixed a bug that caused incorrect sounds to be played under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug that caused some places on the map to have incorrect visual and hitbox. Fixed a bug that causes some enemies to have increased visual and behavior. Fixed a bug that causes some armor to have incorrect stats. Test fix, other performances, and improving and bug fixes. And that is pretty much it for this update. A bunch of fixes and changes to spells and weapon casting spells and skills and stuff like that, and a lot of changes to multiplayer and the world itself. And that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this helps you guys understand what was happening with this update. And yeah, tell me down in the comments what you think about everything here. It is a pretty big update, huge one. We haven't had one for the past few weeks, I think. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully soon that we get a DLC and some more content in play. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later on with another video.